For 76 years, Palestinians have acknowledged May 15th as the commemoration of the Palestinian Nakba, or catastrophe, which refers to the series of genocidal massacres and ethnic cleansing campaigns that happened in 1948 across the historic land of Palestine. This resulted in the depopulation of over 750,000 Palestinians from their homes by Zionist groups. Throughout this period, 530 Palestinian villages were depopulated. Many of these villages were actually destroyed and the land was used to build new Israeli villages and towns. Some villages, despite being depopulated, actually survived the war with most of the buildings intact. But these villages were the ones that were almost immediately replaced with Jewish residents, like the village of Ain Karim. The homes in bigger cities like Haifa and Jaffa were also depopulated. These were offered to Jewish immigrants as furnished houses, and some literally still had food left on the dinner table. This was accomplished through a violent ethnic cleansing campaign led by Zionist groups such as Irgun, Haganah, and Lehi. Palestinian villages were targeted, and the majority were depopulated through direct military assault and forced expulsion, while the rest fled out of fear. Mass atrocities occurred, and in the worst cases, we saw massacres carried out against Palestinian communities. Most scholars today agree that about 30 massacres took place during this time, but that doesn't include the acts of mass atrocities that occurred aside, as well as attacks on villages that didn't necessarily result in massacres. Villages such as Balad al-Sheikh, Saadah, Deir Yassin, Tantura, just to name a few, all suffered from these brutal massacres. Thousands of innocent Palestinian men, women, and children violently slaughtered, having their homes destroyed and land stolen. I could describe in detail the atrocities that took place during these massacres, but I think it would be better to hear from the Zionists themselves.
כבשנו טנטורה, תפסנו הרבה ערבים, אספנו אותם. זה סיפור מאוד יופי. היה איזה 15-20, הולך צד אחר, נוצא את האקדח, טרח, הרג את כולם.
השתוללו בטנטורה, זה היה משהו נורא. טנטורה היה כפר עשיר, בתים יפים, גרים כמו אירופאים, אתה יודע, וגם אנשים היו לבושות ויפה, וזה באמת היה כפר... אחד אנס שם איזה ילדה בת 16, משהו כזה.
It was these stories that spread throughout historic Palestine and prompted many other Palestinian communities to flee out of fear for their lives. In the end, over 13,000 Palestinians were killed, and over 750,000 Palestinians were displaced from their homeland. That was more than 85% of the population at the time. And on top of all of the death and destruction, on top of the rape and murder, on top of the remains of the Palestinian society, Israel was born. The Nakba is the key to understanding Palestinian history and resistance, because the whole idea is that the Nakba never ended, but is ongoing and has been ongoing since 1948. We are continuously being killed and ethnically cleansed from our own land. In the 50s, we continued to see massacres, like the Qibya massacre in 1953. This was in the West Bank, where over 60 villages were attacked by the IDF. Houses were destroyed, schools were destroyed, even the village's mosque was destroyed. Even within Israel's own borders, we see massacres take place, like Kafr Qasim in 1956. There was a bus of the villagers coming back home from work, and it was past curfew, so the IDF literally opened fire and killed 48 of them. 19 men, 6 women, and the majority being children, 23 of them. Again, this happened within Israel's own borders. The Palestinians were officially Israeli citizens. In 1967, Israel launched a war against Egypt, Jordan, and Syria, which led to another mass displacement of over 300,000 Palestinians. This was called the Six-Day War. In 1982, there was the Sabra and Shatila massacre in Lebanon. This was one of the most disgusting massacres ever to take place, with 43 hours of non-stop killing, with estimates of 2,000 to 3,500 total civilian deaths. The victims were the Palestinian refugees of 1948 as well as Lebanese Shias. The entire massacre was carried out by an Israeli-backed Phalange militia with direct or indirect involvement from the IDF, according to the UN Commission in 1983. In 1994, in the occupied West Bank, there was another massacre at Khalil. This is where an American Israeli slaughtered 29 Palestinians simply praying in the mosque. Today, we see the most brutal form of genocide happening right now in Gaza. where over 30,000 Palestinians have been killed, over 12,000 of which are children. Over 1.7 million Palestinians have been internally displaced since October 7th. In 1948, 200,000 of the total expelled population were actually displaced into the Gaza Strip. And today, their children and grandchildren make up 1.5 million people. This means that over 75% of the people that live in Gaza today are not even originally from Gaza. They are from 1948 Palestine. History is repeating itself. Just like their grandparents, the people of Gaza have been murdered, have been violently displaced, and had their land stolen by Zionists. The Nakba never ended. Today, May 15th, isn't 76 years since the Nakba. It's 76 years of the Nakba. 76 years of murder. 76 years of rape. 76 years of dispossession. 76 years of humiliation, of displacement, of ethnic cleansing. But it is also 76 years of resistance. Despite all of this, the Palestinian people have never given up hope. Hope that they will return back to their homeland. Hope that this occupation will be put to an end. Hope that they can live with freedom, with rights, with equality from the river to the sea. Hope that they will see a free Palestine. Palestinians have been resisting occupation and oppression since 1948, and we will continue to do so no matter how long it takes. The Palestinian people refuse to lay down, and we will always stand tall and remain steadfast. In the words of Palestinian poet Samih al-Qasim, منتصب القامة أمشي مرفوع الهامة أمشي في كفي قصفة زيتون وعلى كتفي نعشي وأنا أمشي. And as always, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, inshallah. Free Palestine.